No, it's because of the, I think I know the cost of power has actually gone up.
Very, very much more.
No,
extremely.
We are on the implementation.
As a consumer, I know that.
Yes.
So I want us to listen to what the Deputy President said while in central Kenya about the region. Listen.
Oh dear.
Hii serikali yetu, mimi ndio mchagua Rais William Ruto. Kama wengine watatupa mawe, msiku ya kwanza. Kwa sababu the problem is not in Kenya.
Okay, so he's explaining that the problem is not in Kenya, that we're seeing the cost of living being what it is. In another clip, he says that it is the problem ya Waarabu. Let's also listen to what he says about the solution the government is implementing.
What we have done, ni pahali tuko na uwezo ndio tunasaidia. Mafuta ikipanda, sisi tunapunguza bei ya fertilizer. Sasa ndio ipate balance kidogo. Tunapunguza fertilizer, kama ni hawa kina mama wazee wote wamefikisha 70 years, tumetumana juzi wote wameandikishwa wapate haki yao na isichelewe. Ndio waweze kubalance vile maisha inaenda. So please, my brothers and sisters from home, this is your government.
Okay, all right, that's the Deputy President speaking at the funeral of Field Marshal who was being buried over the weekend. He also said a few things about the differences between leaders in that region. We'll be listening to that shortly. But Honorable Kagiri, tell me, because you come from that region, what is going on? This explanation, it continues and is telling the people of the region that when others are making noise, please be quiet because this is your government. What is that?
Let's first appreciate that the Mount Kenya region really supported the Kenya Kwanza government. And I believe it is just a polite reminder to each one of us. Being a woman, I can confidently say it takes 9 months for us to give birth. So he's just telling people, let's be a little bit more patient. I have said I've traversed by county in the last 15 days, and I can tell you the situation is there. Any point where I give people food, they told me, Jen, you have given us food, which we didn't have food for the day. So everybody is struggling, and that we appreciate and we understand. But what the Deputy President is trying to tell our people is, we know it is tough. Let's just be a little bit more patient. And that is why he goes on to explain what the government is trying to do. And he has explained it so well. He has talked about the elderly being registered. He has talked about the fertilizer. I will add and talk about the education sector, where we have employed teachers, ensuring parents don't have to go back to their pockets to help employ BOM teachers. We also have e-government services that have been increased to avoid our people from having to travel long and far for them to get government services. We also talk about the health sector some. Today morning, the president will be launching around 100,000 kits for the community health promoters. Let me tell you sometimes you go to the county, people tell you how sick they are, and you wonder what happens after that. You may give them your 2,000 shillings, but that's somebody ailing from cancer. After that, you have left. What happens to that person? The 2,000 shillings will not cater for that bill. What our government is doing in regards to the health sector is something that is going to help us save on our budget, because a health promoter could find a patient who maybe could be even at stage 1 cancer and assist them to get to the facility to be treated early enough rather than it going up. Okay. They could also find a patient who could just be requiring taking extra water or just taking enough sleep. Okay. Those are medications.
Just hold on. Let's listen to... Sorry, Honorable Kagiri. It's something else that the Deputy President said. I want us to understand what exactly he means.
This community, I mobilized you to a man to vote for President William Ruto. Kazi yangu ni mbili. Kusaidia William Ruto aongoze Kenya, Kenya iende mbele. Kazi ya kwanza. Kazi ya pili, kuunganisha na kuchunga interest ya Mlima Kenya. That's my job description. And I know my job. I don't need anybody to tell me. My job is well cut out, and I understand it.
Who is he speaking to?
Clearly, Sam, you can tell the audience. I think it was at a funeral. That's the audience he's speaking to. And as I said, he's also reminding us from Mount Kenya to be a little bit patient with the government. And of course...
He's saying, I mobilized this community to the man to vote for President William Ruto. If he's speaking to the audience, why does he need to remind them?
Sam, you're a student of literature. He doesn't literally mean himself. He means the whole community garnered their votes and supported the president.
Okay, Honorable Mboy, who is he speaking to?
Obviously, he's talking to the CS for Trade. They've been having a fight. It's in social media. Every Kenyan knows. Actually, if you go to any secondary school, the students will tell you. I know my colleague would not want to get into that, but there is a serious supremacy battle in central Kenya. When you hear Rigathi saying he mobilized to the last man, that's not true. He was just appointed towards the tail end of the elections, and you know, the community had already been mobilized by the leaders. So he's trying to take credit where it's not his. But you know, Sam, then when you listen to the deputy president when he speaks about the local divisions and cracks within Kenya Kwanza in central Kenya, and also when he talks about this issue of the cost of living, it's very unfortunate that these are the same people that were, you know, shouting on the rooftops of their vehicles about the cost of fuel and the cost of living when Uhuru Kenyatta was president. You know, if you played a clip of 2022, early 2022, you not believe that they are the same people. Suddenly, now they are so enlightened, they know that there is an Arab area where oil comes from. At that time, they knew the oil was being given by the president, and the prices were being set by the government. Suddenly, now they're in office, they know different things. And I'll tell you some. One of the reasons why Kenya is in dire straits is because our foreign debt is actually being paid in foreign currency. And foreign currency depreciates when people feel that there is stability in the country. I mean, when it depreciates when there is instability. And what has happened is that in early 2022, the shilling to the dollar was 117 shillings. Now it's over 150. What basically means is that our debt of 10 trillion suddenly becomes 12.8 trillion just on the basis of that difference. You know, just that difference. So our leaders have to be very careful the things they say. Rigathi Gachagua is one person who's a loose cannon. Every time he gets a mic and speaks, he will talk about the divisions in the country. Now he's talking about the division in central Kenya. He was talking about those who are shareholders, who are not shareholders. These are the utterances that scare away investors, that make us feel that we are not part of the country, that take us to the streets to demonstrate for our rightful share of this government. And unfortunately, when that happens, the dollar continues to appreciate against our Kenyan currency. I want to advise that he be careful with the kind of things he says. He can also stand up and say that one of his job descriptions as a deputy president of the Republic of Kenya is to deal with matters Mount Kenya. How tribal can one be? This deputy president must know Kambani, he must know Western, he must know Nyanza, he must know Mombasa and Coast region. But every time he steps out of those areas, like when he comes to our region, his only agenda is to abuse my party leader, Kalonzo Musyoka. Every single time. He's come 2-3 times, and we don't want him there anymore because he doesn't seem to understand how to deal with the different people. Let him stop the fight with the CS. The CS is an officer and a state officer who's been given a mandate by the president. Let the CS do his work. Let the deputy president do his work. Let him unify the country, not the region.
Okay, interesting. I wish you could tell us what you mean with the fight with the CS, but let's listen to what he says about...
I can clarify.
You will. Let's listen to what he said about differences within the region. Okay, unfortunately, we have a challenge with that clip, but...
Yeah, it was on news earlier.
He's obviously talking about that there are certain differences between leaders, but their cosmetics says that some think they are more clever than others. Well,
yes.
His word is cleverer, more cleverer. But Honorable Cheng, when you listen to the deputy president, tell me if you agree with the Honorable Mboy that he's speaking to, when he says that I mobilize this community to the man and my work is to help the president and also to protect the interest of Mount Kenya. Who is he speaking to in your opinion?
He's speaking to so many many people, including you. Telling so many people stuff. He's speaking to you and Jen Kagiri here and telling you guys have to shape up. I'm the new Don in town. He's also speaking to, in my opinion, the guy in the house on the hill.
The president.
Yeah, telling him that, you know, I'm the numero uno when it comes to central Kenya. And so you have to, just let's say it the way it is, right? He's becoming a very good politician, in my opinion. He's trying very hard to just tone it down a bit, but he's telling everybody else in central Kenya that I am the new sheriff in town, I'm the new kingpin. And you better know that. And that if there's anybody who thinks that he can, you know, bring their head up, we'll bring the big hammer and it will be hit. So he's basically telling the people there that I can organize you. Okay, you just have to behave well, and then you'll be fine. And then number two, he is saying that, and more seriously, Sam, the central part of this country will be resty for a while. It happens every after election and every after, you know, a big man, you know, leaves office. So central Kenya will be resty for a while. There'll be so many guys trying to raise their heads, trying to create their own niches, as it were. And this is going to be their names. You know, there are people who want to, you know, also create their own space. And I think this should be allowed. This should be allowed. And this is happening not just in central Kenya; it's all over the country. Yeah. And so when you said that he's speaking to many people, including the president, why would he need to speak to him in such a forum? Because it's where you speak to your people. You know, the things you cannot say when you are one-on-one, you say them where the people are not. Like me, if I wanted to, if Bui is my very close friend, by the way, we were sworn in on 28th March, and we've been very close friends. But if there are things I want to tell him, I will go to a rally in Kambani, in Kathiani, and say those things at a funeral there. Yeah. So and then he'll call me in the evening. So why? Why? What has happened that it is now important to speak to him from a funeral? Because, look, in the last just 3 months alone, we've had a lot of things happening in that part of. Well, and look at it, including, for example, what we just discussed this morning about water ministry, you know, industry, and generally even politicians in that region, trying to think that Atoshi Mboga, you know, trying to think that he can be sidestepped, or that you can do your things and ignore him. So he's sending a very strong message, not just to people in Central, but even to the presidency that, you know, I'm here, I did my job. I mobilized, and of course this is subjective. I did my job, I mobilized Central Kenya. You can't ignore me. That's what he's saying. And I believe he's been trying to say that since he was sworn in as deputy president. He's really tried very hard to be the Central Kenya king. Has something happened to not necessitate him to speak the way he is? I think so. I think so, because, you know, when he came back from Colombia, you saw, he had a very well-written statement on Twitter, you know, talking about public servants not talking arrogantly at people. Being empathetic. And then where you sit, you should ask, look who is speaking. Look who is telling us to shut up, you know. So I think he's trying to now be the adult in the house, a house that is, in our opinion, trying to get its direction. And you must allow him, in my opinion, politically you must allow him to try to, because, I mean, even in the proper scheme of things, he's the most senior politician now, whether you like him or not, boy. In office. The DP is the most senior politician now from Central Kenya. And when things go south, he'll be the one to answer the questions. And so, in my opinion, it's in order to try to bring some sanity and order in that part of the world. I want us to take a look at the feedback that has come to us via Twitter. Or is it X? At Citizen TV Kenya, Sam Gituku, the hashtag to use is Debrek. And Ole Shonko, the issues arising within government departments is clear that we still have governance problems. Personal interests precede services to Kenyans. There is still a long way to go in the fight against corruption. Kiptoo Ruto, corruption has no place in our society. The friction between Kosgei and CS Wahome is concerning, but they must ensure they follow the right procedure to address it effectively. Otherwise, opposition should not politicize this issue. Okay.
Ibrahim Bakari, corruption and unnecessary government spending are attributes that are making the cost of living to skyrocket. President Ruto must take full control on these two responsibilities. Remy Butia, the government should enhance and innovate ways of revenue mobilization, sustain rationalization of non-priority recurrent expenditure, and redirect resources to finance priority growth, supporting capital projects with a high return on investment. Nico Maingi, it is very unfortunate when head of public service notes the unnecessary spending in ministries while overlooking the massive expenditure of executive on foreign and local travel. If the situation is bad, let it cut across. And Babu Michael, the narrative by KK, Kenya Kwanza, when they resumed office was that, when they assumed office was that they found the coffers empty, but immediately they entered, we have seen heavy spending even on hospitality. How is hospitality adding value to the common mwananchi, meaning the hustler? All right, those are your views. And of course, it's important to note that out of the 10.6 billion shillings, 1 billion shillings was spent by the Executive Office of the President for local travel, over 360 million shillings by the same office on foreign travel, and over 2 billion shillings on hospitality by the Executive Office of the President. And of course, there's so much more. In total, the public sector spent 8 billion shillings on hospitality. I have to thank you all for making time for us. Honorable David Ochieng, Honorable Robert Mbui, and Honorable Jane Kagiri for making time for us of this conversation. It continues, but for now, we take a break. My name is Sam Gituku. See you again some other time. Bye for now.